Howdy folks, it's Lisa with the Vintage Gypsy. I'm also an admin for a solo group called Cameo School for Newbies. If you guys haven't joined, you should surely join up and come and visit. I will be posting these in my group, and I'm going to post them on YouTube as well as on my Vintage Gypsy business page online, which is vintagegypsy73.com. I'm going to talk about all different kinds of vinyl today, how to cut it, how to weld, do those kind of things. Probably going to do two parts. One part is going to be showing how to do the design, the different types of vinyl, putting it on your mat, that kind of thing. And then the second part is I'm actually going to show you how to go in and do your cut settings and actually cut the vinyl and address any issues that you might have, because you know that happens a lot. So we're going to talk about the different kinds of vinyl. There are all kinds of different ones. One is the brand that most people typically use is called Oracle. Oracle 651 is considered a permanent one. It actually has a multitude of colors. It comes in matte colors, any color you can imagine. I think they even have like mint green and stuff now. They have all kinds of cool colors in it. It even comes in glitter, so that's another good option if you like to bling things out. How you can tell it's Oracle 651 is on the back. It will say Oracle 651. If you order some, say from an off website, you don't order it from one of the vinyl companies that most of us use, and they say it's Oracle 651 and you get it and it's not labeled on the back, it is not Oracle 651. Okay, just keep that in mind when you're doing that kind of thing. 651 can be used for, that's what most people use for their car decals. Do not put it on the metal or the paint job on your car, but put it on the windows. And how you would get it off, you just simply use a razor to take it off. But you can use it on metal, glass, vinyl, not vinyl. Well, yeah, vinyl, it'll go in there too. Metal, glass, vinyl, canvas, oh my gosh, wood, all kinds of things. Even more things than I can think of. I've actually put it on my washing machine. I've got some, in there on my commode. I got little monsters on there. But pretty much anything you can think of, you can label or use this type of brand. Now, we're going to talk about 631. 631, same thing, Oracle 631. Look on the back, you can tell that's what it is. Lots and lots of color options there. It is considered indoor use or not permanent, okay? What that means is it will eventually come off, or it's easier to remove when you need to. So when you're thinking of 631, I want you to think about all those pretty word quotes, all those wall words people use. That's basically what they're using as 631. But you can still use it on the same things. You can use it on wood, you can use it on canvas, you can use it on glass, metal, but remember it doesn't have the holding power. It's not sticky, it won't hold on as long, okay? Some of the other ones you have, like I said, there is glitter out there that's available. See how sparkly? It is not labeled on the back, so it's not an Oracle brand per se. So when you're looking online for these, like I know Expressions Vinyl has it, Happy Crafters has a lot of glitter choices there. Sometimes it's called Glitter Fleck or Glitter Flake, or they just have different names for it, but it's still, gotta get your bling on, right? So you want to look for the brands that say that they are permanent, if you want a permanent choice, okay? So 631 also has glitter that's not a permanent version. So if you don't want it to be permanent, look for that as well. Some of the other choices we have is we have these really cool patterned vinyls. We have a company that we work with, Scrappy Chicks on Vinyl. Awesome, awesome woman. Every design you can possibly think of. She has sugar skulls, she has penguins, she has baby stuff. She even has golden doodles, which I love my dog. I have a little golden doodle. She even has, what else does she have that I saw the other day? Oh, galaxy prints. She does them for every holiday. She also takes custom requests. So this is something that's really cool to use. And you don't have to print it out, because there is printable vinyl, which we're not going to get into that because it's a little more complicated. We're just going to take you through basic stuff. Another really cool vinyl that's out there, if you don't know about it, it's called etched glass vinyl. I love it, love it, love it, because you can, like, if you have one of those sliding glass doors have all the glass on it. I did one and I put like a big mermaid on it and an ocean scene, and it looks just like etched glass. Like you paid all that money to have it etched, except when you're done with it and you don't like it, you just take it off, because you can just take it off with a razor. It's also really cool to do on mirrors. I did some of the local hairdressers in town. I put Hello Beautiful in their mirror. When you get done tired of it, you just take it off with a razor. So there's some of the choices that you can look at as far as different types of vinyl. There's also one called 751. Now 751 is more water resistant. I use it on my son's boat for his boat numbers and the name on his boat. I've not tested it yet to see how well it stays on in the dishwasher. Typically, any of the vinyls, if you're going to put on any kind of glasses or mugs or tumblers, is going to be hand wash only. So I need to test 751 to see if it will stay on longer in the dishwasher. I've got some around here, I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. So those are your different types of vinyls that we're going to use. Today I'm going to cut out probably just a quote, and we're going to put it on one of my notebooks because I do that a lot. I put a lot of stuff on my binders that I have. Now, so the tools that you're going to need to do this today, okay, is you're going to need, of course, some vinyl. You're going to need a weeding tool of your choice. I get these at Harbor Freight. I get a whole pack for like $3.99. I only use like 2 out of the pack. If you're someone that works in the dental world, you can get them. You better snag them up. Okay. I also will wrap athletic tape around them if I have to weed. I had to weed like 250 koozies one time, so this is much better for me. You are going to need transfer tape. Now, transfer tape, a lot of people notoriously use the clear. The clear transfer tape is not very forgiving. It's kind of not nice sometimes. It can tear up your design. When you go to lay it down, it'll suck it up before you're ready to actually adhere the transfer tape to it. It also leaves lots of bubbles behind too, air bubbles, okay? So Lisa likes paper tape. Your preference, you use what you want, but this is what I prefer. I used clear for 5 years and we broke up 2 years ago. Not going back to that. You will need a mat. Now, I do suggest right off the bat, even though you have a new machine, you need to go ahead and get you a 24-inch mat whenever you find it on sale, because trust me, honey, you're going to use it. Promises, promises. You need your Cameo machine. So, the other thing you're going to need is, depending on what you're going to put this on. So, if I was going to put this, say, on a window, a quote, say, on the wall, you're going to need some blue painter's tape because it helps anchor it down when you're trying to apply it. I won't be using the blue painter's tape today on what I'm going to be doing, but that's just something to keep in your mind on hand, that if you're going to start doing vinyl projects, whether it's on old windows, glass, whatever it is, you're probably going to need some blue painter's tape for that. I always try and keep at least an X-Acto knife around because I do need that sometimes. You just never know. I use the premium blade. I do not use the auto blade. I will show you today, or in part 2, how you switch your auto blade where it works like a ratchet or a premium blade. This blade, and whenever it goes on sale or you need a new blade, get this one. It's the one that has the blue top. You can actually manually change your numbers. You don't have to use that stupid little thing that does it. You can change it. A couple advantages to this is it lasts twice as long as the auto blade, and you can do, sometimes if I don't, most of my time my blade's at a 3, maybe I just need like a 3.5, maybe my blade's getting a little dull, I can do that with this. You cannot do that with using the auto blade. I do like this better. It also cuts fine detail way better than the auto blade does. Okay, so just keep that in mind when it goes on sale. Alright, so there's some of the things that you're going to need. So, I'm going to show you how to do a really basic design. I'm just going to do a quote today. I'm having a bad hair day, getting ready for vacation, so trying to get all my stuff done, not have to worry about fixing my hair right now. Alright, so I'm going to show you on the screen. Let me go back to my design. So in this space, this is called the design page. So you'll hear us say things like that. So where are you at? Go back to your design page. This is called the design page. Okay, this little booger over here is your page setup. It sets up what your page is going to look like. Like right now, mine's set at 12 by 24 inches. And I'm going to turn my grid back on, which is the second tab when you come in here, because I like to be able to measure how big my design is going to be. I will tell you that anytime you're using a quote, typing up words or design, the dimensions around your quote tell lies. And I'm going to show you how you fix that, okay? So first we're going to type up a word. I'm going to go to the left-hand side, right over here. And on the left-hand side, you see the A. If you hover over it, any icon at all in this software, I'm going to tell you a secret, makes you look really, really smart. That's how I can do this, right? It tells you what it means or what it does. This is to do text. So I'm going to click on the A, go to my design page or my mat area, and I'm going to type in a quote. I'm going to do Girl Boss today because that's what we're feeling like today. I'm going to make it bigger. I do not like this font, so I'm going to go in and change it. So I'm going to come over to my right-hand toolbar. I have another A with a line. If you hover over it, it tells you exactly what it is. The textile panel. This is where all your fonts and the cool swirls live. Those cool little glyphs. Now, I will tell you, you cannot get the glyphs and a lot of the cooler stuff without upgrading to Designer Edition, which is another thing I'm telling you you're going to want to do. Designer Edition 12-inch mat, 24-inch mats is a huge deal. Okay, those two things are important in a premium blade. I do run Business Edition. You don't have to get Business Edition, but at least go to Designer Edition. Okay, that's my other tip for you today. Because I'm going to go in here and show you how to access some of these swirls, or the glyphs as they call them. So I'm going to come over to my textile window and I'm going to look for a font. You can actually click in here and start typing in, and it takes you down to that part of the alphabet of what you're looking for. Let me look at this one. I don't like that one. I like this one. Now, I like this font, but what I don't like is I don't like the S's. See that? They're kind of ugly. So I'm going to show you where you can go into the glyphs and change that. So in your textile window, you have 3 tabs. Most of the little panels that pop up have 3 tabs. This is tab 1. Tab 2 is the glyphs. If you don't have Designer Edition, you will not see these. So I scroll down, and it starts with capital letters. See how that works? And then you keep scrolling down, and it takes you down through the lowercase, the numbers, and it does do, some of the fonts out there have like other languages attached to it. But then you get closer down to the bottom and it takes you to the lowercase. See how fancy those get? Excuse me. Fighting a cold this week too. Had it for a couple weeks. So we're going to come down and we're going to look for an S. I want to change my S. At least one of them, right? Takes a little bit. And you notice if you hover over it, it makes it enlarged so you can see it for people like me that can't see very well. Double click on your font. Do not weld, compound path, anything before we do our glyphs, okay? Or else you can't access the type of font you want to. So I'm going to backspace, delete out whatever word or letter I don't want, and I'm going to click once to add it in. See how that works? If I don't like that one, I can backspace and take it out, and then I can try another one. I don't like that either. If you double click, like I did, it puts 2 in. Okay, so don't be a double clicker like Lisa. I kind of like this one. All right, so what I'm going to show you here is, here it is. This is what I'm going to cut out. But any cursive or script fonts you need to weld. And let me show you why. So I'm going to zoom in. So here's my design. I'm going to click on the plus sign with the magnifying glass at the top toolbar, and I'm going to zoom in. Now, if you want to zoom in really fast, see the little mouse with the zoom? Click on it and click on the spot you want to see. Right here, see these overlapping lines? If you do not get rid of those when you go to cut, it'll cut every single line out. And then when you put that decal on your car, some of those seasoned people are going to go by and like, ooh, they don't know how to weld. We're going to fix that problem. Okay? I'm going to zoom out by going to the minus in the magnifying glass. Several ways you can weld. In the software, there's at least 2 to 3 different ways to do everything. You do what way is most comfortable for you. I'm all about less clicks. So you make sure you're highlighted. You can right click and go to weld. You can go to this top little toolbar they have at the top now. This is also weld up here. See how it tells you what it is? And then you can also go to the modify panel on the right side, and then you can go to weld here. You do whatever works best for you. But once you weld it, you're going to notice that I have these boxes around here because this quote is no longer Velcroed together. It's no longer one piece, okay? I have to group it. So when you group it, what that allows you to do is, how Velcro works is you Velcro it back together, and then if you decide to take them apart, you can ungroup them, which means take the Velcro apart and you can move them to other places, okay? So I'm going to actually group them. You can right click and group, or you can go to the top toolbar up here and group as well. Make sure everything is selected though, because if it's not, it will not group. And then there's my icon here. Let me make sure again, because I don't think it's selected everything. And sometimes you just have to make sure that you have everything. And mine is not. There we go. I got both pieces. So right click and group, or you can go to this top toolbar at the top. Okay, it's like a floating toolbar. I call it the quick access. So now that I'm grouped, let me show you. Those extra pieces are gone. Now it'll cut very fluid as all one piece. All right? Zoom out. And a lot of times what I will do on my screen is I will try and visualize my finished product. Okay, so if I'm going to use blue vinyl, I'm going to keep this in blue. If I'm going to use purple vinyl, I'll make it purple. We might do something fun later and do pattern vinyl when we do our cutting. I'm not sure yet. Or maybe we'll do both. So the way you resize this is, you see these arrows and these little boxes. See all the boxes? When you hover over it, you get an arrow. This shrinks it in. This keeps the whole thing proportionate, so it doesn't distort any of it. You can actually use the side boxes. The top and bottom boxes do the same thing. Okay? Now, how I'm going to tell you to measure this, because see, this is telling us lies already, and I'm going to show you why. This tells me that my design is roughly about 9.6 inches by 3 inches. I go in and set up my mat specifically this way, especially if you don't have designer edition. The basics people are going to want to do this, and I do it even with business edition, because I don't use these rulers very much because they're hard to see for me. So it says I'm about 3 inches, correct? So my mat is set in 1 inch increments with ½ inch increments in between. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually 4 inches. And then it's telling me that it is a little over 9.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a little over 9.5. So that one's correct. But never go by what the box or dimensions tells you. Always double check. I learned that the hard way in the very beginning when I started this. So here's my quote. I need to figure out how big I want it to be. So I'm going to actually put it on here. One of my books that I use for my group. Now the other thing that will be helpful for you, if I can find mine, is use a tape measure. You can use a regular one. You can go to the sewing department and get these. These work just as well if you have one laying around. And then typically what I do is I just measure how big it is. Okay? So let me tilt this down just a hair so maybe you can see what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this side. So I'm about 10 and 3/4 by about 11.5. I don't necessarily want it that big. I might do maybe 8 inches. And anytime you're doing words, you don't want them to be huge. Typically they start out about 3 inches. So I'm going to make this about 3 inches by about 9 inches. Okay? So I'll turn this back up so you can see me just a little bit. So on my screen, what did I say, about 3 inches? I need to resize this because I'm pushing over, let's see, 1, 2, 3, almost 4 inches. So I'm going to shrink it up. That's a little bit too much. I got carried away with my mouse. Bring it down like this. So it's about 9.5 inches. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So there it is. Okay? Like I said, when you're a visual person, change this to the color that you want. Okay? So if I was going to do this in blue, this pretty blue, I would go up to this top toolbar again, and I would change it to a pretty blue. I'm very visual, and anytime you're doing a design that has multiple pieces and parts and lots of options and lots of layers, color everything the way it should be when it's finished. Even if you're doing a t-shirt, same concept, don't change that. Just keep working that way. So now we're going to skip over to the part where we actually learn how to cut our new vinyl decal. So I did Girl Boss, showed you how to weld it, put it on there, do the fonts, do the fun glyphs and all that kind of stuff. Now we're actually going to put it on our mat. So let me make this bigger a little bit so you can see kind of what I'm doing here. So here is, so I turned it off, so turn on your machine. This is your Silhouette Cameo. Okay, so you want to make sure that in this cartridge here, that you have your blade loaded in the first one. It's the one with the red circle on it. You want to make sure your blade is all the way in, meaning you need to make sure when you take it out, whether you're using the auto blade or you're using the premium blade, which is what I used. The premium blade has a little notch in the back. See how that is? That goes towards the back of the carriage. I've already adjusted my blade to 3. When we go back to the computer, I'm going to show you how you make an auto blade turn into a ratchet blade. Okay, we're going to do our cut settings at that point. So my blade, I'm going to tell you my secret, is always set on 3, unless I am cutting like something really thick like glitter HTB or something like that. It's one of my tips. Everything's cut to 3. I'm going to slide this in. You need to make sure that you have pushed it all the way down. Now you notice if you push it in, the carriage moves. It's not all the way in. Push it all the way down, and it's going to do not 1 click, but 2 clicks. So if you feel it, there's 2 notches it has to go in. When the dot turns blue, right here, then your blade's in correctly. Everything is on. We're going to load it on our mat. Like I said, I always use a 24-inch mat, just because that's just what I do. You want to line it up with the edge. So here's your mat. This mimics what we did on the screen. These are our sections, 1-inch increments, okay? So lay your vinyl down. Make sure you line it up in the corner and on the edge, which is always the hardest part for me. And then lay it out on the rest of the way on your mat. Now mine is too big, too much vinyl. It's not that big, but that's okay. So what I want to show you is, I'm getting out some of my air bubbles. You can't see any part of the mat, so everything is lined up correctly. Take your mat, and we're going to put it in your machine. So let me bring you a little bit closer. The mat should be lined up with the blue line. That's how you know it's going to be in correctly. So the other thing that I typically do is I will hold it with my hand to make sure that this is actually lined up. Now I've got my roller moved over, yours is typically here, because I cut without a mat a lot and I'm too lazy to move it back. That's all that means. You can leave yours right where it is. So at this point I'm holding lightly with my hand and then I hit the load button. Now it's loaded. Okay. What I'm going to show you how to do is go in and do a test cut, because you want to make sure that you can weed like butter, right? So let me go back to the screen. We go to the Send tab. So there's actually 4 tabs over here. Design, Store, Library, Send. Here's my Send tab. The tool number 1 is the red tool right there, which is what we're going to be using. We're going to cut vinyl glossy. I've changed it in mine to have my blade at 3 because that's what I always choose. My speed is at 5, my force is at 10, and we're going to test cut this baby, okay? If these settings work great, then you're golden. You don't have to do anything else. But one of the bigger tips I'm going to tell you is every single solitary one of these machines cuts differently with different cut settings. Mine may look different than yours. So test cut lives right down here, the bottom right hand side of the corner. So click test, and what it's going to, oh, look at that, can't connect. I usually try and connect by Bluetooth because I don't have mine close enough. We'll see if it's going to work today. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If not, I'll have to plug her in. I always keep my cord connected because I always have to plug her back in. So my Bluetooth doesn't like me today, which is fine. We're just going to plug her in ever so nicely on the side of my computer. And now it's going to tell me it can connect to her. See how it's syncing now? Now she's ready. So I'm going to test cut. We're doing the number 1 carriage. Click test. And then it comes alive. Now, I'm going to take it out. When she's done working, we're going to click unload. And we're going to check this cut setting. You can't see it, but once it cuts, it is a little square with a triangle. So you take your weeding tool, and see how that weeded so well? You want to weed like butter on every single thing that you do. Everything. Okay? So, I think that's a good setting for me. So I'm going to put it back in, line it up with the blue line, hit load. Okay? I'm going to come back to my send area. Move some stuff out of the way here. you can actually move things around a little bit. My test cut was right about here. So I don't want to put my design there, right? Now we're going to hit Scary Scary. I'm on vinyl, gloss, ratchet, blade 3, speed 5, force 10. You may have to do force 10, 11, or 12. You just need to test yourself. If we were to cut this, our test cut, and it did not weed like that, increase your force. Now I'm going to hit send. Here's the scary part. Let's see if it's actually going to work or not. This is like watching paint dry, right? In the meantime, when that's cutting, though, we're going to make sure that we have our transfer tape ready. We need to make sure that we have our X-Acto knife the same, and our weeding tool we need to have. Whichever one is your preference. Some people like the silhouette one, some like the other one. So, okay, so here's my weeding tools. You pick whichever one that you like the best. I like mine that has the athletic tape around it. So this takes a few minutes to cut, and if you notice here on the bottom of your screen, that's how many seconds or minutes I have left to finish this cut. This is a new feature they didn't have in version 3, and I love this part of it. Because then I can know if I can walk away or come back or take my dog out or whatever I need to do, and then it comes down to just a matter of seconds so I can get back in time. I do have a few bubbles through here, and that means that the vinyl was rolled up too tight. If you leave those in there when your design cuts, it will not cut very well over those humps because it's not laying flat enough, okay? But you notice here on the send area, how I know that it's going to cut as well is I have these red lines all lit up around my design. If I did not have those, it would not cut. And I have a whole video on what to do when you have no cut lines in your cut settings window. So let's see how she looks. We have, oh, she should be done. Oh, look at that, I think she lies. Look at that, it told me 1 second, and it's not 1 second. And that's a really long second, I would have to say. And I don't know if you can see or not. It's hard to see in there, but it's going through and cutting the design. Now, what I will tell you about that, hold on, let me get you back where I can see you, is it doesn't always start at the beginning. Just because I put in Girl Boss doesn't mean it's going to start at the G. Sometimes it goes back to the S, starts somewhere in the middle. There's an optical eye that lives inside that carriage is what reads everything. So, we're going to now turn you back around here. Scoot you over so I got some space to work. And we're going to take this out. Alright, unload. Take it off the mat. Like I said, my piece is too big. Typically what I would do is I would cut this down. And I always keep like a self-healing mat around. And I get one of these cool rollers. These are just extra things that you can get later on. Alright. Let's weed this puppy, right? Let's make sure you guys can see. Let's lower you down because I want to get you close as I can. Hold on. We're going down. We're going down. Alright. So, let's make sure I can see you. You can see me on the screen. So here's my design. It did cut very well because I have cut lines. If you can see those or not. Alright. Ready? And I've also found that it's easier to go, if you have ease facing this way, pull it, the ease, have the open areas pull away from them. So I'm going to just start at the corner, and typically I will shimmy back and forth. And I can pick up these as I go along, tack them like that. But you see that cut setting worked just fine. This is what you call weeding like butter. If your cut settings are not good, you will never be able to weed like butter. It takes too long to weed at that point in time. And then take out your pieces. I always feel like Vanna White, like so. That piece got away from me. Now remember, vinyl will stick to vinyl, so if your pieces stick together, it will pull each other up, so just be careful with that. Here's the rest of my, so I can use this to pick that up, see, like that. And then one more right here. Okay. So good. There we go. We cut it. Let me show you what she looks like when I get all my vinyl off with me. So there's my design. See, and that wasn't a very, very thick font. It even left my little dot on my eye in there. So if you go to weed, and when you're weeding, and it does not weed like butter, like I just showed you, adjust those cut settings because it's not right. Okay, next step. We need to put on our transfer tape. I typically will just take some out, and you can get all different sizes of transfer tape. You need to use your X-Acto knife for this to cut it. Or if you have a table, which I have a table over there, but I'm not going to show that to you guys today. And anytime you're going to put transfer tape down, you want to start at one end and smooth across. Don't, because that helps get rid of some of the air bubbles. Uh-oh, you're falling, I'm sorry. You're going to use your burnisher. It's a fancy word for rub. Oh, you know, I actually might put this on my Cameo. I don't know. I was going to put it on here, but I think I might put it on my Cameo. Oh, I have one thing on there already, don't I? All right, so let's put it on my... So I'm going to put it on there, but I may not put it straight this time. So in order to get this off the transfer tape, start at one corner. Maybe I'll show you this way. Start at one corner. And I don't pull straight up. I always shimmy it off. You want to shake it because you want it to release from the transfer tape. Clear transfer tape also does not pull off very easily. A lot of the times it'll stick there on the white paper backing. This piece we throw away. Figure out where you want this at on your book or your project or whatever. Start with one side down and smooth across with your hand, because what you're doing at that point effectively is pushing out the bubbles. Okay? You want to push out those bubbles. Use your burnisher again. Rub that sucker down. Now when you take this transfer tape off, do not pull up. See what it does? You want to shimmy it off just like that. So I usually go down at an angle, and I just start to shimmy. Almost there, almost there, almost there, almost there. And there you have it. Just that easy. Do small things like this. Label your notebooks, your kids' items. Practice doing your name. Put your name in cursive, do the welding and stuff like that, because that is what's going to help you learn your craft. Sorry, don't be too close to you. So just remember, we're a little bit way crooked today. There we go. Fix you a little bit here. So just remember, sorry guys, I want you to weed like butter. If you do not weed like butter, then you're not cutting like a boss. You need to readjust those cut settings. You need to go out and watch my video called, and it's in our group, and it's also on YouTube, Cut Like a Boss, and then there's one called Weeds Like Butter. If it does not do those things, you need to readjust your cut settings. I really hope that this has helped you guys today. I know it's been a long video, but it's going to help you as a resource. You can go back and look at it again. So have an awesome night, day, whatever time of day it is that you're watching this, and I will talk to you guys soon. See you later. Make your screen look like how your finished product is going to be when it's done.